Hey everyone, how are you doing today?
Evening. Oh, hello.
Hi, how's the day been? How's the lockdown period been for you? What have you been up to? What have you gotten up to? Someone said that being in the house would force you to think, would force you to reinvent yourself. Many people have found out that they have a creative edge to themselves.
So true.
And yeah, we just thought Toluwani and I. By the way,
Thank you for
Toluwani,
being here.
Toluwani is joining me today. We want to talk about the Easter. Easter, for me, is the best season of the Christian life because it tells a story. Jesus came so that man can be reconciled back to God. I not only like Easter because of the ceremonies that go with it, it's because of the lessons that we learn and because of how my life has run as a Christian, especially during the Easter season. I dare say significant things happen to me during the Easter, maybe because of the solemnity of the period. I started out as a Catholic. You know, Easter season for the Catholic is a very solemn season. You spend 40 days preparing for when Jesus is going to die, and then you keep reading all those things, keep going through the stations of the cross. And now that I'm here now, I'm finding out that there's a whole richness to our culture as Christians. There's a whole treasure to to unearth if we stop to think about the Easter stories. Over time, I've talked about many angles of the Easter story because how they affect me. This night, we're going to talk about one other angle, maybe because of this season of my life whereby I'm having to look at take some recalibrate somewhat, if you may say so. And then now I'm thinking of generational faith and how to transmit it. What I know, how am I making a good job of transmitting it? Okay, so I've said a whole lot. I've said maybe too much actually. Toluwan is going to sing one of my favorite songs of all time, The Old Rugged Cross. I would have attempted to sing, but you see, I can only sing in God's ears. Okay. So Toluwani, the spectacular woman, by the way, she's written a book, wonderful book, talking about being a spectacular woman. If you haven't seen that book, I think you should go look for it. It's on Amazon, it's on wherever books are sold, the way they say it.
Thank you so much, Auntie. On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame. And I love that old cross where the dearest and best for a world of lost sinners was slain. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. And I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. To the old rugged cross I will ever be true, its shame and reproach gladly bear. Then he'll call me someday to my home far away, where his glory forever I'll share. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. And I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown.
You see, I couldn't resist singing because it's one of my songs. That song does something to me. Every time I sing that song, or that song is sung near me, especially by someone like Toluwani who really can sing, it moves me, takes me back to that place. Today, I'd like for us to look at one of the Easter stories. And I want us to look at the Easter story through the eyes of Mary. Mary being the mother of Jesus. The Bible says in the book of Luke, the angel visited Mary, announced that Jesus was going to be born, told Mary what Jesus was going to be, how that he was going to be the one that will bring man back to him. And the word says that Mary kept those things in her heart. I'm imagining Mary, a teenage girl, already getting visits from angels, getting destinies, getting her destiny defined by that child that she was going to have. What kind of a life did Mary have? What was going on in her thoughts? What was shaping, and what was her journey like? Because further down the line, we hear that Mary and Joseph took Jesus, they went to the temple, and Jesus was missing for 3 days. Someone will say, what was she looking at? What kind of way? Don't forget, she was a young mother. And she herself was a child. And she has been laden with this heavy load. But today, my interest is on Mary. The Mary that followed her son to the cross. Let's imagine the mother. Now you have the child, and you've had that child. The child has lived up to 33 years. They told you from the get-go, this child is special, and what makes him special? He was going to suffer. And at the end of the suffering, he was going to die. I want us to look at the fact that John records that Mary followed Jesus all the way to the cross. As a mother, what will be going through her mind? Now you can be Christian, you can tell me the Christianese and tell me, oh, she would have yielded, she had already surrendered her life to Christ, and she's surrendered everything that came with it. But I would say to you, really, to the point of death, I'm imagining that at some point Mary would have wished that Jesus himself wished that this cup would pass over him. Mary would have wished that she didn't have to see that happen, but now here she was, seeing that at the foot of the cross. And Jesus had already suffered, he's carried the cross, he's gone down Via Dolorosa, and they've whipped him, they've accused him falsely. This was your child. And this is prophecy being fulfilled. From a mother's heart, what will Mary think? What will she be thinking? And then we get to the point where Jesus was already hanging on the cross. This was the point of no return. I'm imagining that Mary would have said all kinds of prayers. If it's today's mother, you probably would have bound all the devils that there was to bind. And you probably would have thought that if you did a 100-day fast, a 40-day fast, maybe a 70-day fast, God would have changed his mind and worked out another way of bringing Jesus, reconciling man to himself. What was going through Mary's mind or heart when Jesus looks at her and says, "Mother, behold your son." Now that's referring to another disciple, not himself. I like for you to think about that. But before you go thinking about that, Toluwani, what would you say?
I think it's a very beautiful perspective to consider. Beautiful in the sense that I'm not yet a mother, but I know when my mom was here, I know how she was always very concerned. Every time we would go out or be out late, or maybe be stuck in traffic, she would always be like, "Where are you? You're covered by the blood of Jesus." That kind of care. So I know what it is for a mother to always be connected with the child, wherever the child is. So it almost feels as if when Jesus was on the cross, she was on the cross too, in a way. But she was there in a way that she was helpless. Usually a mother would rather die than watch her child go through that, but she couldn't take this pain upon herself. So the pain of the helplessness is something that really gets to me too. And it's like many of us distance what God did in giving Jesus, his only son, his one and only begotten son, to die on the cross. But in watching Mary watch her son die on the cross, it's like we get to see also from a human perspective how difficult it is to have to let go of someone for the greater good.
Okay, so now if we take it, what are we having to let go of? What kind of life do you have? What's your journey like? You know, in the side of the world, they make it look like if your journey is rough, if your path is rough, then it must mean that some demons are following you. But if that were to be the case, then Jesus had a lot of demons. But you and I know that that's not the case. Jesus was in the path of destiny. I don't know what paths that you're on. I don't know what you're having to deal with. I don't know what you have to give up or what you have to watch go so that they can come out of that a greater good. Now, as we go through today being Good Friday, I pray that it will really be a Good Friday for you. Especially now that our world is in pain right now. There is nowhere in the world that there is not a cry of anguish. And as we go through today, let's just remember that Jesus died. He went through pain so that we don't have to. And now if you have to, if your path is calling and wondering and questioning what Jesus is doing, how about you look up to the cross and know that someone has already passed that, gone that way before, and because they went that way before and now is seated in glory, I believe that the pain will be easier to bear, knowing that you too one day will look back on these days and sing like we have to sing on Easter Day, glory, hallelujah, he has risen. The grave could not hold Jesus. The grave will not be able to hold you. I always say to people, dying is not such a big deal. It's just being translated. It's being planted. Whenever you plant something, that thing grows. And when it grows, it doesn't come out as one, it comes out as many. So as we face this Friday, just remember there's glory behind the cross. Have a good day. Thank you, Toluwani.
Thank you, Asifa.
Thank you, spectacular woman. And see you soon. Bye-bye.